something that you don't want to miss. And then you can also catch the replay as well. It's the 5th annual Gillette Young Guns. Now, why they're calling Tony a young gun, I don't have any idea. But anyway.
They're not really calling me a young gun. They're calling their guys on their program young gun. Because I told them, I said, that this was something that kind of made sense but kind of didn't make sense and we got to really, everybody's got to thank Gillette for stepping up like they did. I don't think we were going to be able to do the pay-per-view side because of the cost, and that's where Gillette came into it and paid the production cost to have us back on HBO. And but it was like, man, I don't even shave. This is a company that's what they sell is razors. So and I'm not young, so it didn't really make sense on my side. But they all the Gillette Young Guns are going to be there. The only guy that had to cancel, I got a message from Dave Blaney, whose great aunt passed away, and he has to go to a funeral Wednesday. And Carl Edwards breaking his foot, he's going to miss out. But
you got Bill Elliott, awesome Bill from Dawsonville, Vickers, Cruz Pedregon. You probably saw Cruz yesterday, didn't you, at the Nationals?
Yeah, I saw Cruz yesterday, and man, that Joker's been practicing. He's been running a bunch of races in Indiana with his late model. So I guarantee he's tuned up and ready to go. You got
Rudy. We have Rudiman on the show all the time. He's just you got him so mind screwed up, it's pathetic. We always get him so messed up. In fact, I'm going to have some audio here in a minute. We got Rudiman so freaked out. Of course, we were the first show that he called after Billy Badbutt tried to get up in your face. And I'm like, and I'm like, man, Tony may have called him Billy Badbutt at that time, but man, that guy does not want any of Tony Stewart. Rudiman's like, I know, I was trying to tell him to calm down, and I was in a little bit of a vicarious spot because Tony's my boy, but yet that's my driver, and I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, it was kind of funny because we went from Charlotte to Dover the next weekend, and I was walking out to qualify in Dover. They have a horse track inside, so the pit area is very cramped and crowded, and Billy Badbutt was standing in between two ambulances down in Turn 1 watching cars qualify, and he was down there by himself. So I see him, and I sneak up behind him. I grab him on the shoulders, and he turned around, and his eyes were like, about the size of a racquetball.
Right.
He was scared to death. But I've ended up talking to that guy, and he's cool. I mean, he was doing what any good crew guy would do, and he was standing up for his driver. But I'm always one of those guys that if you're not in the seat and you're not there driving the thing, then let us handle it. We're the ones that are going, and especially with Rudiman. I mean, Rudiman and I are good buddies, and I love that kid to death. And that's why I went and talked to him in the first place. But we got it all sorted out.
Oh, he said that you guys got to handle. So he goes, I don't know what Tony's problem was. I was trying to give him room, and he just sometimes gets a little impatient. I go, Rudy, you were holding him up. He goes, well, no, I really wasn't. I go, well, Rudy, you were holding him up. And
yeah, he was.
He goes, well, I will tell you, Tony's the kind of guy that will come down and have a word with the fella, but he didn't like to use liaisons and stuff. And Billy Badbutt was just trying to stick up for me. It was crazy, man. But anyway, Rudiman proclaims. I got audio here in a minute. I had him on last week, and I'm like, you're going to get your ass kicked at the Prelude, Rudy. He's like, man, I think I got something for this year. I'm like, listen, man, you're not Buzzy. You can't drive on dirt. You're not an open wheel modified, expert like your dad. You're not. So come on, Rudy. Just know that you're going to not do that well. But he says he's going to do. He says he's going to do good.
So what you're saying is basically I'm going to have to hold his hand for about 30 minutes tomorrow just to get him psyched up for hot laps.
I got to tell you, man, you know who did pretty damn good a couple of years ago? Gordon did real well. He was on fire. Yeah. And Capsy doesn't do that bad for a guy who just usually goes 4 seconds and straight. Ron Capps.
Yeah, I mean, anybody can hold their breath for 4 seconds. About half a lap into it, 4 seconds is over, and you're starting to think, man, I got to breathe here eventually.
I got to call you out, though, because there's not too many things that you won't get your butt in and drive. And I know for a fact that you got in, I think it was a funny car one time, the way Selzy tells the story, and that you got all claustrophobic. You're like, I ain't doing it. I'm done.
Oh, this was in the comfort of their shop even.
Yeah.
This was in the shop, in the air conditioning, and they put the body down over top of me, and I'm like, you got to get me out of this thing.
Yeah.
I went berserk.
You didn't even do the burnout, not even the qualifying burnout.
No, we were inside their shop. It wasn't even outside the sun. It wasn't hot or anything, and I freaked out in there. But I don't know. I think if I were going to do something like that, I'd like to do a top fuel car. The seats in those things and the way it's laid out, it's more like an Indy car, and that was something I was pretty used to. But Man, putting that body over top like that is absolutely insane.
Now, speaking of IndyCar, Tony, 96, I think that you were on the pole in 96 on a Lola, if I remember right, and I think it was 239 or 241 down the back, and now you've raced all over, and you've Daytona and Talladega, and you well over 200 sometimes at different places. But what is it like, and how sketchy is it, to be in an Indy car at 240 down the front and the back? I think you got the single lap record still. I think.
Well, actually, Lyondike has it at 238 for an average, but we ran a lap during rookie orientation. I'm taking my rookie test, and I ran a lap at 237.1, and the top speed was 247 at the end of the backstretch. But it was awesome, and the thing that's kind of weird, and it's hard to explain to people, you think the faster you go, the hairier it is, and with the Indy cars, there's a point that you get up to, and it gets kind of sketchy like that, and then you get over that hump. And if you keep picking up speed, it actually just keeps locking the car down even tighter and tighter. It just gains so much more downforce. And when we got up to, I think we'd run 233 or 234 the run before, and it felt awesome. I mean, it actually, like I said, it started getting in that range where it started really feeling good. And they threw the whip to it for my last run, and went back out. And when we were in that 237, I mean, it just absolutely felt like it was just glued to the racetrack. Felt like a slot car. There's one thing when you're running, 247 mile an hour into turn 3, and you got to tell yourself to not lift. You do not miss your marks getting in. I mean, you can see. It's like watching the movie that who was it? Stallone and Burt Reynolds were in, and they were talking about being able to pick up a quarter off a tire and this and that.
Yeah.
You just about see a quarter on the racetrack when you're running that quick. And I don't know how your mind processes information like that, but when you're running that quick, I mean, you have to hit your marks perfect, and it was awesome. I mean, there's still not been a feeling in my life like it was running that fast.
It's a far cry from a couple of years ago when you won the Brickyard and you're going down the backstretch and you're driving with your knee, taking a drink of water while the in-car is looking at you, saying, "Here, kitty, kitty."
Well, I was thirsty. I needed a drink. It's not like you can pull over at the drive-thru of Burger King and say, "Hey, I need a Whopper Jr. and I need a large Coke here," and then send it back out. It was a hot day out there, but especially at Brickyard and Pocono, the straightaways are so long with a stock car. You got plenty of time to. I got time to take up the cell phone and call you and have a good conversation and then hang up before we get to the other end.
Now, are you excited about because you're right in the mix? I don't want to get all kabookied out and stuff, but Tony's doing quite well. And
you're not talking to Rudiman here.
And yeah, that's true. He's won it a few times before. Oh, we give Rudiman a hard time as saying only race you won this year is on a rain delay there, Rudy. So don't be all big and rugged there, kiddo. But obviously moving from New York to Vegas, that's got to be with the banquet and stuff. That's got to be right down Tony Stewart's alley, the way I figure.
Well, the Godfather said it best. He said we could set a brand new record in NASCAR, and what he was mentioning is that we could, if we get lucky enough to win this thing, we could be the first driver in NASCAR history to go out, pick up a $9 million check, and be broke when we leave.
Yeah, you could actually be in the hole. Be actually in the hole. Stewart Haas Racing. Now, will they have the little rider thing too? Like they ask the driver. Rumor has it that drivers have all types of demands and stuff with their suites, and I've never really known any inside information, but a rumor has it that drivers get quite elaborate on some of the setups they ask for. I don't know if that still goes on or not.
Yeah, don't try to BS everybody. You know exactly what we had this week because you were there firsthand.
I ordered it.
Yeah, you helped order it, actually. That's right. So you can only imagine what that is. But
we had a poker table and some other things.
Yeah, you can imagine that if we win this thing out there, that it's going to be really, really big. So I think that's one of the cool things that NASCAR does that most people don't even have a clue about is that the champion gets always at New York at the Waldorf got a really, really nice suite, and if you were the one that turned me on to the pizza maker years ago,
right?
And
Tony's the first guy to get a pizza maker. Here he is, everybody's all uppity, and they want, caviar. And Tony's like, "I want a Presto pizza maker, please."
The Pizzazz, wasn't it?
The Pizzazz pizza maker, please.
We had a Pizzazz pizza maker and a little freezer in there with just stocked full of pizzas.
Now, Ned, you said, Ned, you're from well, I guess you spent some time in Ohio, and I didn't know that supposedly you're friends with Earl, Ned?
Earl Balders?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Really? Back
in
the day, huh?
Back in the day. I mean, haven't seen him in years.
Now, Ned claims, I don't know if this is true or not, Tony, but Ned claims that he used to wrench for your dad's open wheel back in the day on an open trailer type of deal.
Well, it would have had to have been an open trailer because PK is not exactly. I don't know. He's still trying to drive every now and then. My dad, Nelson, we call him PK because Nelson PK. But I don't know, man. And my dad, I don't know. If you had to work on my dad's car, you basically had like a life sentence in prison, basically.
Ned, big AJ Foyt fan as